Hi, Acadiana. I'm meteorologist Dave Baker with the latest on Tropical Storm Francine. The 4 o'clock advisory coming out a while ago and processing some of the information. It looks like the storm track has not changed a whole lot, but the intensity forecast has, and it looks like we may be dealing with even more of a dangerous hurricane a little bit later on in the next 48 hours. 24 degrees north, 96 west, 65 on the winds, and the pressure right now is at 996, which is a big drop from the last advisory. Not necessarily rapid intensification, but a significant drop. Check out the satellite imagery, and as the sun starts to go down, you start to see a little more detail there in Tropical Storm Francine. Plus, you can probably identify a center of circulation there, and you can also identify a center of circulation from the radar coming out of Brownsville. Gradually, we think that the storm is going to be moving off a little bit more toward the north, and then it's going to get caught up in a bit of a trough that's moving across Texas and a ridge that's off to the east, which should turn it on more of a trajectory toward the Acadiana region. So again, the forecast track hasn't changed a whole lot, but the intensity forecast has. And there's a look at the cone, virtually unchanged from what we saw earlier. And I do believe we're going to be seeing some strengthening once again. There are some changes in the warnings. We have a hurricane warning that is now in effect for the Louisiana coast from Sabine Pass to Morgan City, and a tropical storm warning has been issued east of Morgan City to Grand Isle and west of High Island, or west of Sabine Pass, going westward over to High Island. There's also a tropical storm watch that is in place on the outside of that cone. We also have a storm surge warning that's in effect for much of the Louisiana coast. Our hurricane warning is now in effect for the entire Louisiana coast. We also have hurricane watches that are posted on top of tropical storm warnings that are posted for our inland parishes, and tropical storm warnings are up for much of our northwestern parishes here in Acadiana. Those are shaded in blue. The striped is a tropical storm warning, and then it's overlaid with a hurricane watch, which most likely will be upgraded to a hurricane warning. So let's look at the models. Again, earlier today, slight shift to the east. Today, we're seeing a slight shift to the west, but generally all of the models are confined there right over the Acadiana region, and so are the ensemble models, and most of our forecasts are based, the track forecasts are based on the mix of all of these. The intensity model, still waiting for the new runs on this, but the National Hurricane Center is going for a 100-mile-per-hour landfall, which would be a Category 2, and you can see here at least in 48 hours, there's a couple of models that go Cat 2. Most of them stay in the mid-range of Cat 1, with a few lower than that, but the National Hurricane Center going with 100 miles per hour at landfall somewhere along the Cameron Vermilion Parish coastline, and that's going to be sometime late Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening. Storm surge could be 5 to 10 feet east of Cameron all the way over to around Grand Isle, and then lesser amounts east and west of that. And also, tropical storm force winds are almost certain now over the western part of the Gulf of Mexico, and some areas will see hurricane force winds, but it looks like the chances are starting to climb more here in Acadiana that we will see at least tropical storm force winds moving into our area. So there's a lot to talk about there when it comes to the tropical storm and what could be a hurricane. And I do have the National Hurricane Center's link to the storm page. If you want to go through any of these graphics and do the reading of the discussion, you can see what their thinking is. But there's a little less wind shear right now, but it looks like wind shear will start to affect it at the very end, but it might not be in time. So we're still expecting some strengthening for a while before it reaches land. We are within that 48-hour period. So there's a couple of graphics I'm going to go through here. Usually we would do this a week before if we had a little bit more lead time, but hopefully you've got two different plans, whether you're going to stay or go. Securing your home and moving things inside, those are things you can do and try to have that wrapped up by tomorrow night or at the very latest on Wednesday morning. Make sure you top off the gas tanks, and if you are leaving, get those reservations taken care of. And also alert the family members that you have outside of the storm zone, friends too, to know what they know what your plan is. Sometimes communications can get a little tricky after a hurricane, so as long as your family and friends know what your plan is, they'll know where you are, and we won't have to send out the rescue team looking for folks. 72 hours out. We're actually about 48 hours out now. Get your last minute supplies, ice and food. A lot of folks did that today. If you are evacuating, make sure you choose 2 different routes. That way you can get in and out without any problems. And also, if you live in the northern parts of, say, Vermilion or into Iberia parishes, maybe take some of the routes that go through Jeff Davis, Acadia, and St. Martin parishes and try to avoid Lafayette if you're doing some evacuating, and try to leave the main evacuation route, Highway 90, through Lafayette up for the folks that are down in St. Mary and Terrebonne parishes. They're not as familiar with the roads coming up here, especially our friends down in Terrebonne Parish, and it'd be nice for them, since they need it the most, being that far south in the coastal areas. They're the ones that are going to be most likely to evacuate. Therefore, if we can be good neighbors and keep the main evacuation routes open, you all know the back roads, and it'll probably be easier on you if you need to leave anytime between now and when the hurricane is going to be striking. But we do expect that this is going to be a hurricane, and you do need to put those last minute preparations together and try to have things kind of wrapped up by the time we reach tomorrow night or early Tuesday morning. Again, the winds are up to 65 miles per hour. It's forecast to be a Category 2 on the Cameron-Vermilion Parish coastline with winds at 100 miles per hour. Sometime late Wednesday afternoon going into the early evening hours. You should have everything already wrapped up by the time we get into Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning. Of course, I will update on social media during the overnight period. If you follow me on Facebook, or if you haven't found me on Facebook, if you go to @meteorologist Dave Baker or Dave Baker Acadiana Weather Today, search that, you'll find my Facebook page. On X, I'm Dave Baker TV. And right here on YouTube, I'm @Acadiana Weather Today. Make sure you tell your friends. I'll try to do as many updates as possible, and we're expecting to keep this stream going kind of on and off until we do continuous coverage a little bit later on. It will be exclusively weather and real-time information, so check that out. Make sure you go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn those notifications on too. That way you know when we've got another update right here on Acadiana Weather Today. I'm meteorologist Dave Baker. Stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.